Hello, I'm David Talbot with Cloud Securities, and I'm here with Skyharbour Resources Day. We've got Jordan Trimble, President and CEO, and Christine McKechnie, Senior Project Geologist. So, first off, guys, it's a big world. Why explore in the Athabasca Basin?
Yeah, great question. There's a long list of reasons, as you're well aware, but we'll start off with the obvious: the highest grade depository of uranium in the world, 10 to 20 times the global average grade. It's also in Saskatchewan, which is always in the top 5 mining districts as ranked by the Fraser Institute. So as an investor and as a company management, you check all the boxes as far as a mining district potential. I like to say the size of the prize. When we're exploring that's what we do, we're an exploration company. When we're exploring for these deposits, we know that if we find something, it could be a major high-grade deposit that could generate significant returns for investors, and so that's the very high level reasons why we look in the Athabasca Basin for uranium.
Right. And Skyharbour is a little bit of a different beast. You are a project generator. And I can't help but notice you've got $35 million of other people's money being spent on your projects. Probably the same amount of cash and stock coming into your company as well. So I'd say your model's working.
Yeah, look, we have this hybrid model. So in addition to being a high-grade discovery and exploration company, where we're focused at our co-flagship Russell and Moore Lake projects, we are a prospect generator, and we've signed option agreements with now 7 partner companies. 2 of them have earned in our joint ventures, but those option agreements total well over $70 million in exploration expenditures funded by these partners, and as you mentioned, cash and share payments as well coming into the company.
Okay. I can't help but notice you just mentioned Russell Lake in terms of a co-flagship project. And that's a relatively new project. It's quite underexplored, but you're trying to change that. What sort of strategy are you going into this year? I think you've got a 10,000 meter drill program planned.
Yeah, so we've just commenced our inaugural 10,000 meter drill program. It took a while for us to get this deal done with Rio Tinto. We announced it in the summer of 2022, and we received our permits. We've signed an exploration agreement with English River First Nations, and we've hired a group called Condor Consulting to help with the targeting. And so just started the 10,000 meter. It's going to provide a lot of news flow for the company coming up. And maybe Christine, if you want to elaborate a little bit on some of the strategy and the drill targets we're initially testing.
All right, so this project, like Jordan said, it's been relatively underexplored. It's a large land holding, and there is some uranium mineralization that has been found in a number of areas. That the drill spacing was pretty far out, so we've been kind of going back and looking at these targets and seeing that these historical targets and historical hits weren't really fully tested along strike and along trend. And so we've seen some opportunities where the previous explorers kind of wrote off areas that we know how close you can be to something. And if you have a sniff like that, you're probably really close to something. And we just start trying to vector in using our experience and what we see in the drill core and the geophysics to kind of hone in on these high-grade discoveries.
Are you really trying to focus on basement-hosted discoveries or something at the unconformity?
Both. We definitely have been drilling late. For the first phase of drilling, we were focusing in an area called the Grayling Zone, where there was a Basementhosted that had uranium mineralization right at the unconformity, kind of in the bottom of this basement wedge. And so it's kind of a setup system like at McArthur River deposits. So we're using these different deposits that are extremely high grade, valuable deposits as kind of a analog for some of our targets at Russell Lake.
Okay, well, we're certainly looking forward to you drilling that. Could you maybe give us an update on your Moore Lake project, your other
co-flagship? Yeah, so look, Moore Lake has created a lot of value for us over the years. We think there's a lot more value to unlock there with additional drilling and programs. We are planning a small drill program later this year, and one of the benefits of having Russell Lake in the portfolio is the road that services the McArthur River mine actually runs up through Russell Lake. So there's a road there, there's power lines, and we've inherited a fairly significant exploration camp, 40-person state-of-the-art exploration camp that Rio installed there. So that allows us to go and stage out of that camp as we drill at Russell, but also as we work at Moore Lake. So that'll bring our costs down at both projects. So we will be doing some more drilling there. As you're well aware, Dave, we've more recently been drilling a little bit deeper into the underlying basement rocks at the Maverick corridor. We've had some very high-grade results historically at this project, including 21% U3O8 over 1.5 meters. And then more recently, again, in these underlying basement rocks, we intercepted our best basement-hosted mineralization of 6.8% over 2 meters.
And everybody loves high grade.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you maybe explain a little bit how your exploration methodology or your techniques have changed, have evolved over the last couple of years?
So with that, we've been doing different geophysical compilations. We've been getting a few geophysical contractors in that have been helping us out, looking at historical data from a new perspective. And we also use airborne gravity at our South Falcon project and South Falcon East now. And so we actually had a consultant come in and integrate all this historical data with this new data and did a bunch of targeting to find these uranium heads. And at that project, we do have a deposit there. And so we've went and looked at that and kind of used that as an analog to go try and find more of these targets at that project. And then, just looking, the models have changed for exploration in the Athabasca Basin a lot over the years. And so we're using our experience and our knowledge to kind of go back at these areas where other people wrote things off, and we're going and looking at it with a new perspective, new model.
Great. And you are a project generator, you have a lot of JV partners, but you also have projects that you don't have tied up with others at this point. So what are you planning on doing with some of those?
Yeah, so we've been actively adding to the portfolio. So we've got 18 projects, including the 2 flagship projects, Russell and Moore. The other 16 are scattered throughout the basin, totaling over 465,000 hectares. So we're, I think, by acreage now the 4th or 5th largest landholder in northern Saskatchewan. But these other 16 projects, 7 or 8 of them now have been optioned or JV'd out. The other 8, we are actively looking to bring in partner companies. We continue to stake. We're in negotiations on a few other projects that we're looking to bring into the fold. And again, this would all be a part of that prospect generator model. So we want to make sure we have inventory. The market over the last several years is picked up. Money's been coming into it. New companies have been coming into it. It's not easy to go get properties of merit in the basin. A lot of the good projects are already in a company, or they've been staked, or they're being actively explored. So we've built this portfolio up over the last decade, and we're going to continue to monetize it as much as we can.
Yeah, speaking of monetize, it is an area that is very active. There's a lot of demand for projects, and we've seen a tighter uranium market. Mm-hmm. We've seen uranium prices rise almost about $10 a pound per year over the last 3 years or so. So how does a rising uranium price impact Skyharbour?
Yeah, it's a great question. Skyharbour is as a exploration and early stage development company. If you look at the Lassonde curve, for example, we're, I think, well situated to potentially deliver new discoveries for our shareholders, whether it be at one of our flagship projects, Russell and Moore, where we're actively and aggressively drilling, and or at one of the partner-funded projects. And so we offer that extra bit of torque and leverage to these rising prices. And in addition, kind of bringing this back to the initial question, being in northern Saskatchewan in the west, we're seeing this market bifurcate. There's been lots of commentary around this starting a year ago with the war in Russia and in Ukraine, and that's created this bifurcated market. So projects and companies with projects in Canada, in the U.S., and in Australia, I think will command premiums in valuation. And I don't think we've seen that fully realized yet. But companies like Skyharbour, where we're out there looking for that next generation of uranium, high-grade uranium deposits that can fuel nuclear reactors for many decades going forward.
As the uranium price has risen over the last couple of years, how has that changed the ownership in Skyharbour?
Yeah, so look, we've grown quite a bit as a company, part and parcel with the uranium price moving higher. As we just said, I think we're poised to continue growing as the uranium market improves. And the ownership in the company when we were a smaller company by market cap was predominantly retail, and needless to say, less institutional investors. We've seen that change over the last several years, where most of the money that we've raised has been institutional, and in particular, in the last few years, we've been added to most of the major uranium mining ETFs, and we've also now we have two large corporate strategic shareholders. Denison Mines has been a large strategic shareholder of the company for about 6 years. Dave Cates, the president and CEO of Denison, has been on our board since 2016, so we have a very close working relationship with Denison, Dave and his team. But now with the deal at Russell Lake, we've also brought in Rio Tinto as a large strategic shareholder as well. So we've gone from a predominantly retail shareholder base to one that has still a large portion of retail, but much more institutional and corporate ownership as well.
Yeah, that's what happens when a company grows up.
Yeah.
Great. Jordan, Christine, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.